We gotta look back at this. How does he maintain possession?
Jenkins, and that definitely was a little helmet-to-helmet on that hit.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
NFL Week 2 is here, guys. I'll be breaking down 3 games like usual. This week we're going to look at the Ravens at Bengals, Dolphins at Pats, and the Monday Nighter, like always. This time there's 2. I'll pick out the better game, Browns at Steelers. Looking at 3 big divisional games early on in the year. Nothing better than talking some division football, right? Just got back from Vegas. Always a fun time there. Short trip, day and a half, 2 days. Got to meet some clients out there. Have some drinks, have some fun. Super hot out there. Crazy hot. It was like 40 Celsius, well over 100. So didn't spend a lot of time outside. I did go to a buddy's podcast that he had at Circa. That was fun. Got to meet some new people out there and market, etc. Also, a client of mine entered the Circa tournament for us. So I'll be keeping you guys updated on that. NFL Week 1 is always fun, right? With upsets. We did see a few. Glad I was able to avoid most of them. That's what you want to do. NFL Week 1 can always be tricky. I had a few years where I didn't have a good Week 1. You're playing catch-up. We had a good one this week. Only one caught me. Seattle. I had Seattle in a money line parlay with the Eagles at plus money. Didn't show up. Very surprised that they didn't show up. The 5.5, sure. I didn't really expect them maybe not to cover that. But I did like Seattle to just win the game at home. I had them improved in my power rankings. I still have, I'm not worried. It's one game. It's week 1. Let's not get all worried, guys. So I'm not going to downgrade them a ton. They have been downgraded. I didn't have Rams high either, right? No Cup. A lot of young guys on the team. Issues in the locker room you're hearing, and they come out and get a big road win. Not easy to play in Seattle. Tip my cap definitely to the Rams, right? Stafford played well enough. Their D played well enough. So impressive what I saw from the Rams there. A good week, though, for myself and clients. Also, free plays as well. 6-2 client card, just under 3 units. So happy about that. You always want to get off to a good start, right? A few seasons I haven't, so glad I did here. 3-0 was the highlights in the totals market. We attacked the totals, attacking rookie QBs for the most part. We took the Houston team total under 16.5 versus a tough Ravens D and rookie QB, of course. Carolina under 17.5 team total, and Thursday nighter under 27 first half. So really attack those totals. Week 1 theory, just attack the rookie QBs. That's what I did here in a money line parlay. It was the Jags and Falcons at plus 125. Attacked the rookie QBs there, got the win. Rookie QBs were like 17-33, I think, on week 1. And, they weren't getting any easy matchups this week. So definitely panned out there. We hit on the Eagles minus 3.5. It got close towards the end there, but Eagles were the better team as expected. We also hit on our teaser, which I gave out to free for you guys. It was a 7-point teaser, 3 games, plus 120. A lot of plus money going around early in week 1. Happy about that. The teaser was the Ravens minus 3, Washington money line, and Falcons plus 3.5. Free plays last week. What do we hit? 3-0 on underdogs, guys. These underdog plays just continue to hit week after week. Browns, Jets, and Dolphins. I gave all out. Hopefully you tailed at least one. I wasn't for sure on them, right? I just give you some that I like each week. So I liked all 3 in some capacity. So hopefully you did tail one, maybe all 3. We continue to find underdogs year after year. One year we went like 13-3, which is like 80% on underdogs for free plays. That's wild. I don't expect that this year, guys. But hey, we're off to a good start. So we will see what happens here. Only blemish, obviously, I mentioned was Seattle on the money line. We had a bunch of other winners. Unders on the Jets game, under in the Bengals game. Lots of winners for you guys. Hopefully you did tail. Speaking of the Jets, Aaron Rodgers. Wow, right? Who could have predicted that? His only highlight from 2023 was right here. Him running out with the American flag. It's tough to see, right? It's tough to see. I'm not a Jets fan. I'm kind of happy. I'm a Baltimore fan, so I'm kind of happy because they're in the AFC that, he's not playing. I didn't want to see him get injured, don't get me wrong, but I'm never cheering for another team. So, yes, it does suck. It is Aaron Rodgers. The Jets fans continue to get bad news. And then in comes Wilson. Didn't look great. Got it together a little at the end there, but it was more Garrett Wilson making an outstanding catch to get that touchdown. With their defense is good enough to win them 8-9 games. Their defense is really good, and I won them the game in against Buffalo. But it was more Josh Allen having a tough game. I expect Allen to bounce back. He does have the most turnovers since, I can't remember, 2018? I don't know. I can't remember. For a starting QB, he has the most turnovers since he, I think, came in the league, I'm guessing. So keep in mind, he has his up and down, right? That's why I can never take Buffalo to win the Super Bowl because, he has those games that will lose them the game, and he lost them the game. Let's be honest. It wasn't like the Jets. Yes, the Jets played good D, but Allen fumbled at the end of the game. That was in overtime, if I recall. Was it overtime or before overtime? I can't remember, but he fumbled and he threw 3 interceptions. So you can't have 4 turnovers and win the game. I expect them to bounce back here against the Raiders at home this week. Let's look at the upsets quickly last week. We saw Tampa Bay beat the Vikings as 6-point underdogs. I mentioned this Vikings team in my preseason video that I had out and podcast. This Vikings team, guys, they're not getting close to 13 wins. I'll tell you that much. I would be surprised if even if they win, they make the playoffs. I don't think they're that good of a team. They showed it. They showed it week 1. Again, it's week 1. I don't stress too much on it. But they can go down easily 0-2 to start the season. They're playing Philly Thursday night. So I'm not too high on Minnesota. Am I surprised they lost a little bit because I was not high on Tampa Bay, right? It was a close game and went back and forth, but Tampa Bay pulls it out. What other upsets? Obviously Seattle, which we talked about. I guess Lions over KC was a little bit of an upset, but once that Kelsey news came in, I don't look at it as too much of an upset there. What else? Browns over Bengals a little bit, but I gave it out, right? There's a few plays, so I'm not too surprised there. So the two main ones, Vikings and Seattle. And, speaking of Circa Survivor, which I did talk about at the top of the card here, hey, I had Washington Baltimore, so I'm happy there. Almost 2,000 entries went out. It was like 21% of the entries went out week 1. So I'm happy about that. I'm setting up nicely here for Circa Survivor. I think it's like a $9 million pot or something. So let's see what happens. 2 entries is always nice to have. SystemSportsCapping.com is the website to subscribe to my early lines. I get early lines out on Monday or Tuesday. I send out a client card. Lines have already moved on 2 of those. So keep in mind, you're getting early lines from me. You're getting bets throughout the whole week in all sports, right? I don't just bet NFL. We bet UFC. We bet PGA currently, all at high winning percentages. And then NBA and NHL come as well. System capping on all social media, guys. Give me a follow over there. Free plays, system, sports betting news, and more. Currently on a 76, almost 77% free play run in the golf market for short videos on TikTok and Instagram. So if you're not following me over there, definitely head over there and follow me. Let's hear from my friend Kristen, ex-lingerie football player, now model and race car driver.
For you sports bettors out there, let's be honest, you probably need a little bit of help beating those books. System Capping is a proven long-term winner against the sports betting market in multiple sports. He's built a worldwide clientele due to his high winning percentage over the years. Be sure to click the link on the bio down here to check out his profile, and you can also find out his resume, client comments, podcasts, and subscription opportunities. I'm going to be following him along too, so let's win some money together this season.
Shop around, guys. Shop around. Have multiple books. It's some of the best advice I can give you week to week. Books, prices vary. Props vary. Lines vary from book to book. Try to have multiple if you can. Let's get right into it. Ravens at Bengals. Bengals 3.5. Some books down to 3 now. Total 46.5. Definitely shop around on this one. That 0.5 is important, right? This is a big divisional game early, right? Bengals looking terrible in week 1. Ravens did enough. I'm not going to say Ravens looked great in week 1. Their defense looked really good. But they didn't play all preseason. They didn't play one snap together. Lamar hasn't played since November last year. So keep that in mind, guys. They're going to get better throughout the year. But they still won by 16 points. So let's not say they look terrible in week 1 because they did look good enough to win that game. Bengals, on the other hand, right? Bengals, on the other, did not look good. 3 points. Burrow, I expect him to struggle, right? He didn't practice pretty much all season. At the beginning, he was practicing. Then he came back for like 2 or 3 practices before getting into that game. So keep in mind, and he was limited in those practices. Speaking of some injuries, Ravens. Fortunately, we saw a few with the Ravens. It's disappointing, right? But it's football, and you have to have a deep roster, and that's what they do, right? Dobbins, their running back, number 1 running back, out for the year. It's tough. It's tough to hear, right? Because he was playing good in that game. He was their number 1 guy. They do have some depth with Gus the Bus. Hill is pretty good as well. They're going to bring Melvin Gordon up from the practice squad. It is a loss. I don't think it's a huge loss due to them throwing the ball more this year. But it is a loss for the Ravens. Another loss also, Marcus Williams on safety. He's going to be out for a big chunk of the season. I don't think it's season ending, which is good news. They do have a little bit of safety depth, but not a lot. They brought in a veteran from the Pats, Harmon. That will help fill that void this week. But yeah, a couple tough injuries to start the year. And again, these guys are injury-prone guys. Williams was out a lot of last year, and Dobbins was as well. So I can't look back and say, oh, it's because they didn't play preseason, or it's the training staff. I don't think it's any of that. I think these guys are just injury-prone. Williams has shown to be injury-prone, and Dobbins has now so far in the NFL as well. Just freak accidents, freak injuries. Can't really say it's something the Ravens are doing specifically. Also, a couple O-line guys went down. More week to week. They could play this week. I don't know if they will or not. Starting O-lines. Their center. And also Ronnie Stanley. Their left tackle. So they're deep in the O-line. I'm not too worried about that. But some good news is, like I mentioned, they're deep. They're good news on the offensive side of the ball. Zay Flowers looks like a true number 1. OBJ making some big catches. It looks like they have a legit number 1 and number 2. You throw in Bateman as a number 3. Come on. It's very deep, the wide receiver core. Then you look at no Mark Andrews in that game. Mark Andrews will be back. So they're going to have a lot of threats in the passing game. So I do expect them to lean more in the passing game than the run game. And obviously Lamar can make up for any rushing. He ran a bit last week, but not a ton. I expect Andrews to be back for this game. So that will give the Ravens their big weapon, right? It's Lamar Jackson's favorite weapon. Let's be honest here. Back to Bengals, they look terrible in week 1 against Cleveland. It's a tough place to play. I mentioned that last week. A little rainy too. But I did expect Burrow to struggle. Not like that, of course. But he struggled a ton. It was a little surprising it was going to be that much. Defense took a downgrade in the offseason as well, in my opinion, on the Bengals side, losing Jesse Bates. He was their star. He pretty much brought them to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They lost him to Atlanta. Didn't want to pay him. So I do think they took a downgrade there also on defense. Cleveland did in week 1 what I kind of expected what the Ravens should do here. Run the ball on them, right? Run the ball. Cleveland didn't have a ton of success throwing the ball on them. They just ran it with Chubb. And I expect the Ravens to run a little more downhill with Gus Edwards and obviously Lamar to get going. But don't be surprised if they throw the ball as well here. I think it's going to be more of a mixed offense from week to week. And what I mentioned here with Mark Andrews coming back, that's huge. That's huge for them. The key, obviously, I mentioned it last week, it's going to be get to Burrow. You got to get to him. And that's what Cleveland was able to do. That's why they won that game. I'm not going to say just because of that, but it was a big reason why. Big reason why. Let's see here. What was the numbers here? I have the numbers written down of what Cleveland did. Let's see. Last rusher. Yeah, so obviously almost 40% pass rush on Burrow. He was sacked twice. But the 82 yards, right? You're getting the 82 yards is because you're getting pressure to Burrow, and that's what the Ravens are going to have to do here, right? Ravens had 10 QB hits and 5 sacks in week 1. And a lot of people thought the rush would be their weakness, but bringing in Clowney, Ojabo's legit. Ojabo has played 2 games, guys, and he has a strip sack in both. I think Ojabo's legit. Clowney, and they bring a lot of pressure from the secondary as well. The linebackers will come and get sacks. So if I think they continue to bring the pressure to Burrow, I think they can hang around in this game, cover this 3.5, maybe even win outright. Wouldn't be surprised due to the Bengals' slow start, and they are notorious for starting slow as well. A couple fun facts here. Last year, the Bengals, they played twice. Bengals won 2 out of 3 games. One of the games, keep in mind, two of the games that the Ravens lost, both of them, no Lamar. That's very important, right? 2 of the games, Bengals didn't score more than 24. The one they scored 27 was in that playoff game, right? The late touchdown there. So keep that in mind. This is in Cincinnati, I get it. I can see this being a 3-point game. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. So from a side standpoint, I'm staying away. I'm going to lean the Ravens with the points here, plus 3.5 if you can still get that. Could be a teaser option as well with the Ravens. Bengals usually start slow, and I do think they take a downgrade this year. Again, I'm not thrilled with their O-line. Not thrilled with their defense. I like their offensive weapons with Chase, obviously, and Higgins. Higgins doesn't have a catch, by the way. Boyd, not in love with their running back game. It's just more Burrow, right? One of the best QBs in the league, I get that. Is he injured? Is he 100%? Is he 100% regular season ready? Game 1 didn't show it. Let's see what he has in game 2. Miami, -3 at New England, total 46.5. Fun divisional one here. I love talking about the best games of the week, right? Toughest ones to predict and look at as well. How good did his Dolphins offense look, right? Week 1. Against the Chargers, yes, but wow, Tua 466, 3 TDs, and Hill 215 for 2 TDs. Now, that was against the Chargers defense. I don't expect a repeat performance like that against the Pats at home, but I won't rule out another big game from both. Miami struggled on defense against Herbert and the Chargers. It's understandable. Both of these were high-power offenses facing low-level defenses, right? It kind of made sense. They allowed big plays on the ground. A week high, actually, 234 rushing yards they allowed, 199 in the air. The game plan needs to be slow down this game, right? The Pats need to slow down the game, run the ball, and just keep the ball out of their hands as much as possible. I like New England's defense. They played well at times against Philly. Hurts didn't have a great game, right? It was more the turnovers. What did he throw for? 170 on 33 attempts. They didn't run the ball exceptionally well either. So I think New England does have a solid defense. I think that's how they win some games. Mac Jones, surprisingly, if you look at it, he didn't make big plays at the right time, and he did struggle early in the game. He wasn't terrible, though. He threw for over 300 yards. And he did find Bourne. He looked like he liked Bourne target. And also Hunter Henry, more of a safety guy, right? Safety blanket for Jones. But he wasn't terrible. I'm not in love with the Eagles' defense. But they do obviously have some stud guys. New England get to the quarterback here, slow down Tua. I do think they can hang around in this game. Obviously, a little bit of overreaction to Miami. It's week 1. Chargers defense, but it was on the road. Now, back-to-back games on the road. I think New England hangs around. The 3 is the key line, right? Like if you get a 3.5 out there, I would look at New England. I would wait. You can probably see money maybe coming in on Miami later into this week. Total, I would lean the over. Question is, Mac Jones. I just don't like backing Mac Jones, right? So it's not going to be a client play for me, but I'm going to take the points with New England if I can get the 3.5. If you guys can get that, I would maybe suggest to look at that. Total, I would lean the over here. But this is a good game to watch. I'll be watching it. It's probably at the same time as the Ravens game, so I don't know. I'll have it on Red Zone at least. But yeah, I'm excited to watch this game, see how Miami really is. If they get back-to-back big road wins, we knew they were good, Miami. I knew they were battling for a wild card spot, but how good really are they? Can they win the division? Can they, right? It's open now. Jets aren't winning the division, guys. Sorry to break the news to you Jets fans. They're not winning the division. I could see, Miami being that dark horse team that comes in and steals it from the Bills. It's possible. Let's see what they do in New England, a big game on the road. Also New England losing back-to-back home games. I like the chances Belichick maybe hang around and play well here. Would I be surprised if New England wins outright? Not really. Not really. But if you get the plus 3.5, I would jump on that. Monday Nighter, Browns minus 2.5 versus Steelers. Total 38.5. Always a fun game when these two play, right? You get hard-nosed football, good defense for the most part. Cleveland got better over the offseason. I don't know how much the Steelers did, though, right? Cleveland has caught up to the Steelers, right? It was always Baltimore and Steelers. Then Cincinnati passed both of them, and even the Ravens. Now you kind of have Steelers as towards the bottom with Cleveland, but I think Cleveland could finish past the Steelers this year. I mentioned in my futures video, all 4 teams in this division could be above 500. It's going to be interesting to see how the Steelers bounce back here. I'm still kicking myself I didn't play 49ers week 1. Domination from them on the road versus the one team I thought would be ready for week 1 the most because they played their starters, right? That's why I stayed away. I stayed away from that game mainly because I thought maybe possibly Purdy and 49ers will come in a little sluggish and slow, and the Steelers will take advantage because they're the only team that played their starters week 1. I wish I bet the 49ers now. I had it written down even. Like I had it ready to be sent out, ready for the Vegas contest. And I just didn't pull the trigger last minute. Kicking myself there. You're going to have that every week, right? You're going to have every week a game you wish you bet you didn't. It's going to always happen, right? Let's see here, right? Browns was able to get the Burrow, and that was what the main difference was. The 5 sacks and 45% pressure rating was the reason why 49ers beat the Steelers. But the reason why the Browns beat the Bengals and were able to make look very good was because they were able to get to them as well, right? So a lot of the times when you can disrupt the quarterback play on the edge, it's going to be the way you win games, guys. Up front, in the trenches, right? You always say that, right? And the 5 sacks, 45% pressure rating on the Steelers, that had to be the highest of the week. That's high with 5 sacks. That's why the Steelers couldn't get anything done, right? And I could expect the Browns to do the same here. Browns could get to him as well. Pickett, right? Pickett didn't look great last week. Didn't have Pickens to throw to like he did in the exhibition games, right? When they're playing third string guys. So that never got me thinking, oh, I should really, look at this Steelers team in week 1. I didn't bet them. I'm happy I didn't. Wish I bet the 49ers there. Johnson, a couple injuries. Key ones. Johnson's out. Their wide receiver too. I think Cam Hayward maybe out as well. I know he got hurt. I don't know if he's going to play in this game. So look at that. There's some injuries there. This team got run on too. Steelers got ran on. 152 yards. CMC. In comes Chubb. That's a little dangerous here. Things that I see how Steelers bounce back here. Obviously, Watson didn't have a great game. If Watt can get to him consistently, if they can run the ball, that will be important here. If they can run the ball on Cleveland, I think Steelers can hang around here. That 2.5's the line. I'm not going to make my client card this line. But the back-to-back losses at home for the Steelers, that's favoring them. I don't like that. I love Tomlin, right? One of my favorite coaches in the NFL. I think he'll have them ready for this game. Those 2 injuries have me concerned. Total 38.5 looks a little low. I would have to lean the over. 38 is low. I understand the Browns' defense can be shut down like they did in week 1. But it looks a little low, so I would lean the over here, the 38.5. But a couple fun facts here I'll leave you guys with. Last time Browns started 2-0 in the season was 1993. Bill Belichick was on that staff. That's something here to take up. But I think Steelers hang around. It's just that 2.5. If you can get Steelers 3, I would look at that. But I think it's going to be a close game. Good defense played on both sides, but the run game, I think there's going to be a lot of runs in this game. Up front, though, like how much is Watt going to be able to affect, right? How much is the Browns going to be able to get to Pickett? That's what you're going to want to watch in this game. But I'm going to lean the over. I'm gonna take a flyer and take the Steelers. If you can get the +3, I would look at that. It's not going to make my client card, though. It could be an underdog play, though, right? I talked about a couple underdogs here already. Last week, 3-0. Great start for the ones that I mentioned. I'm going to mention the Steelers here at home. I'm not in love with it, but am I ever really in love with underdogs to win outright every week? Not really, guys. I'm just telling you ones that I think could win, and there's some value at the plus money. That's all. So Steelers, there's some value at home to avoid back-to-back home losses. There's also some value with the Ravens. It's on the road. They do have a few injuries I'm concerned about, so I don't love that. And then I talked about the Pats as well. Could steal one at home. Don't love them all. I probably like the underdogs better last week. Those are the 3 I would kind of look at and dabble with. I expect at least 1 to win, hopefully 2. Teasers and favorite moneyline plays of the week. I'll give you guys a few here. Client is available. A client teaser will be available. We hit 4 for you guys last week. All 4 I mentioned all hit on the teaser market, so hopefully you tailed that. Only blemish, of course, like I mentioned, was Seattle moneyline. I'll give you some teaser plays this week. We're going to look at Chiefs +3.5. Bounce back game. Kelsey should be back. In comes Chris Jones. So I expect him to hang around against Jacksonville. Probably even win that game outright. Chargers +4. Expect Chargers to hang around in that game. Maybe even win it. And the 49ers -1. That's going to be the teaser play for the week. I like the Chargers there on the money line. You know, waiting for Eckler, though. Waiting for Eckler, the news. I think he will play. He's been battling an ankle injury for like a year now. I think he'll be fine to play and a bounce back spot, right? I don't like Tennessee. They struggle to score. Chargers can score. Tennessee's defense is not good enough to stop the Chargers, in my opinion. That will do it, guys. That will do it. Another video in the books. Check the UFC video if you haven't already. It's available now. We're going for 8 straight profitable cards in the UFC. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.